Let me know if you guys can hear me. What's happening, folks? Oh, man. I want to talk about power stations for a second. That's pretty much it. So, any questions you guys have, let me know. I'm into that. Um, I got a question from one of the viewers, Darlene. She asked me what I thought about the AC300 and the EcoFlow Delta Pro. And that was a bit of a hard question to answer in a comment. So I figure maybe I'll jump on live and kind of give my casual thoughts about it. I see Buck said, nope. Greetings, and salutations. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I feel like the microphone should be working. I'll type a message in the chat. I'll just wait a second till I get. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let me zoom in a little bit so I can see these comments. It's real out here in these streets. What's up to Donald, CJ? What's happening? Dominique, Gary, Ulysses. What's happening, everyone? Latin van life. I like that. What's your channel about, right? You don't gotta ask those questions. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Miss Jenny. I appreciate you for stopping by and being a new viewer. Buck, thank you. I'm glad it's working. Nigel, what's happening? Lit, what's happening, man? God's very own daughter. That's what's up. I dig that. My wife's her username for a long time was something very similar. RY, what's happening? Okay, I am love. So upset! Exclamation point. Just ordered so many Bluetti panels, and now they came out with the new ones that handle partial shade very well. Ooh, yeah. You don't take out the whole panel when it gets partially shaded. So yeah, yeah, the P word. I dig that. I understand. So let me ask you this: how long ago do you have any level of recourse? Uh, those panels are bigger. It's not necessarily just that they're in parallel, so they're better. So you may find that you like your SP200 or SP120 more than those because they're not as big. Those that new what's the model number? Something or another 200, but they're bigger. They're a little more yeah. Be fair, what's happening? At least what's good? Shots the hobby. What's going on, man? Martians, what's happening? Wendy, Lee, Audrey, Miss Beverly. Hey. Um, oh, shots the hobby said he got his Babine 500 watt a few hours ago. That's what's up, the PB 200. Thanks, Wayne. And greetings to you, sir. I knew it was something V. I couldn't figure out if it was VT or something else. PB 200, yeah. I like the fact that they're in parallel. That's really cool. But it depends on your situation. You know, some people have space and opportunity to lay out those SP200 and 120 panels without a problem. Um, I don't know. Hey, Linda, the Babine doesn't need 12-volt regulated. That's interesting that you put it that way, Nigel. You kind of talk like a person from PA. I have SP200. Yeah, I dig it. What's up, Alpha? What's happening? Happy life. It's kind of close to happy wife. I don't like big panels. They're not that much bigger. I mean, they're folding panels, so they fold out pretty big, which is why I don't like quad fold panels. It's a little unwieldy for something that's portable. Bifold, trifold is like, but them quad fold panels, I'm not a fan personally, but I'm also not a fan of folding panels. So, you know, take my opinion with a grain of whatever is your pleasure. Hey, Wendy, just trying to learn something in these crazy times we're living in. I dig that. I dig that. Yeah, the Babine is lipo. So as it relates to regulation, the lithium iron phosphate chemistry or lipo 4 doesn't necessarily need to be regulated because it maintains its curve for longer in the battery, and then it kind of like drops off versus like lithium ion, which I don't know what that cycle looks like. Maybe it goes like this and it gets down lower and lower. That actually makes sense. So they have regulation in them to keep them up, but at the expense of some of your battery. So LiPo batteries that aren't regulated, because they regulate some LiPo batteries, like the EB70, it's a regulated port. So that DC output uses some power to keep it up when it really doesn't need to. But I get it, you know. But lithium ion does go down if it's not regulated. My rock pals is lithium ion, and that voltage drops to the point where, because it's not regulated, at about 50%, that voltage kind of falls apart as it relates to 12-volt devices. Yeah, I'm free for all in here. So if y'all got questions, man, I'll be in the comments and we could just hang out and chat about solar. That's what's up. Can y'all hear my my man's music? It's not super loud, but it's traveling well. Brother Dane, what's happening? I was gonna ask if you could cut me a little volume slack. I'm sorry, I don't mean to yell in y'all ear. Give me 1 second. I was gonna ask if you could cut me a little volume slack, just a little bit. I appreciate it, brother. Miss Jenny says getting the EB70 and the Bouge RV. Have the Bouge RV. What, you getting both the EB70 and the Bouge RV power station? Is that what you're saying, Miss Jenny? I have my 42 quart fridge freezer already. That's what's up. CJ says I have the foldable panels just because we are in an apartment. I dig that. Martian says I just got two 12-volt 16 amp hour LiPo lithium batteries from Amazon. 12-volt. Okay, for $59. I got you. That makes sense. Those batteries are interesting. How you can get them so cheap, especially as it relates to if you're into the pass-through power thing, where you don't need a whole lot of storage, but you just want to use that power. Then that's kind of cool. I was always interested in going that route, but it just never made sense for me. And I don't like the wires being all over the place. I'm just not a fan. RY says, yes, we can hear the music. Thanks, RY. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Okay, Miss Jenny says, yes, both the EB70 and the Bouge RV. I dig that. Why get two of the same thing? I mean, the price is good. I like the versatility in some ways. It's very limited versatility of the EB55, but I don't like that price. The missus is lurking. Anyone tested by Being yet? Yeah. Jason Noy has a video on it. I think yeah, he does. TN dot space Frank, Tennessee Frank, has a video on it. I don't know if it's necessarily about testing it. It's more like my videos was casual, just walking through the stuff. There are a couple videos out there. I think Electronics in More, the letter N, has a video on it. Oh man, jeez, here we go. This is my first time having to deal with this. So that's fun. Thanks for being a weirdo, Harvey. I've never had to put the delay on it because I just feel like nobody's never done anything like that. But I guess welcome to going live, right? Sheba. I have the AC 200p and the EB70. Will you ever get a 12 volts fridge? I doubt it. If somebody gives me one, that's the only way I'm going to get one. I'm not spending that much money on that. I'm not a fan in that regard. The application is different for me. I don't need to be taken. Well, I don't think we do enough traveling to be into that. But going out to an amusement park or to the beach, it would be cool to have something that was powered, since I have access to power that could keep our food cold versus our food being wet and cold. But it's not a priority right now, Wayne. But at some point, somebody will send me one. Thanks, Wayne, for being on top of that. I appreciate it. Dang, I hit him. I don't know what to do. I'm new to this. Let me see. Remove, put user in timeout, hide user on this. I don't know. What does it do? How do you get rid of the user? This is interesting. I have to deal with that. Uh, I don't see ban. I see hide. Thanks, Happy Life. Oh, Happy Life. I'm kind of like fresh. I'm not an established go liver, so I don't have a whole bunch of mods and all that jazz. Wendy Dudley asks, "What do you think about the Energizer generator?" I'm a fan. It's one of my favorite ones. I have one. I just found out recently that, uh, like recently ish, that the company reached out to me and they reached out to me for a device that I already have. So I'm debating on how I will go about kind of working with them, because they offered to send me one and then their inventory got low. So I don't know if they're still going to send me one. I don't know if they want to send me another one, or just how it's going to work out, but I'll figure it out. Ronnie asks, "Have you checked out the Bouge RV system?" What do you mean? They make a lot of products. They make panels. They have that power station now. They have fridges and all that jazz. Give me a little insight there. Jeez, this dude is relentless. Um, it's okay. Don't sweat the small stuff. And what they say, it's all small stuff. I don't even know. Oh, okay, that's what Led was talking about. There's a way you could put a user in timeout for 300 seconds, and Led'll Led'll say, "Snipe, guys, no 300." Get it now? I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm gonna keep that hidden, Lee. It's okay, guys. Don't let it distract you too much. What's up, Joe Tyson? I'm chilling. All right. Well, while he's doing that, I'll just go ahead and talk. And then I'll scroll back up and get to any comments you guys have. So I was asked, what do I think about the AC300, by one of the viewers? And I was never really impressed by the AC300 once I found out that it had to have the battery connected to it. I was originally impressed by the size, but then I kind of actually Armand Allen, I think he let me know that the top part was the module and that the bottom part was the battery. So the thing is really heavy. I've never been impressed with the price. It's pretty much $1 per watt. I don't understand the appeal of the device personally for that kind of price. I mean, it'll do what it does. Okay, I have to explain a couple of things. I'm very like, if you read my about page on this channel, I'm very like value, not necessarily budget, but really strategic with how I spend my money. And I just don't see anything about that is super compelling, because I'm not a buy an extra, especially at the prices that they sell the extra. On the last live, I did kind of have this revelation that in my quest to kind of get into solar, the battery is the most expensive component of the system. So maybe it makes sense that the batteries are that expensive. I can't help but be reasonable. So I was like, maybe that makes sense that the module itself, if you separate it out, that it goes for about $400 more than the battery. And it's just like, I might as well buy a new module. I still believe that wholeheartedly. I wouldn't buy an extra battery per se. If it's that close in price, I would just get the whole shebang because I like options. I like things to be kind of spread out around my house and to have um, that more than I want extra power in one place. So the AC300, it's like, it's never really been all that appealing to me. The price is too high. Um, and it's heavy too. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's like 70 and 30 pounds, or 70 and 50 pounds, or some absurd number. I mean, the EcoFlow Delta Pro is 100 pounds, and the AC300 being as heavy as it is in multiple pieces just seems kind of weird. But I get that you can separate it out and carry the battery and carry the thing. It wasn't my hustle. Guys off the chain. Let's see. It's like, you hide them, but then it doesn't necessarily keep effect, I guess. Let me scroll up and see what's popping. All right, Miss Jenny, I'll do my comparing of the two. I see what you're saying about getting both. I may just do the Bouge RV and the Energizer. Yeah. The Energizer is not as compelling because of the price now. When it was $240, it was a very compelling device. It's not as compelling now. $329 is like, that's just like the AC300. It's $1 per watt hour. Martian said, "You big time now, bro. Bring on the trolls." I know, right? Hey, Courtney, what's happening? B3, what's happening, man? Thanks for coming through. He says he's moving the yard and listening. That's what's up. Oh, Michael asks, did you ever figure out how to put the Sateki in low current mode? I have two of them and still can't figure it out. Okay, yeah, I remember chatting about that. I tried holding both buttons, but no go. Yeah, it works. I don't know. I'm technical, so when you say low current mode, that doesn't resonate with me. But when it's not getting any power through to certain things, it does turn off. And I switched that by I think I either pressed it or I pressed and held it, and it did switch over. It takes a few minutes, but if you don't have a load on it, mine does turn off. And it's in the instruction manual how to do it. It's not necessarily super clear, I don't believe, but it is in there. Miss Beverly says, how do you feel about the sun power panels? I have one new power panel. I was wondering which is better, the Renogy or the Rich. I have the EB70 and the little Go Power. You mean the Go Labs and getting a bigger one. Okay. How do I feel about the sun power panels? The flexible ones, they're fine. I like the 50 that I have. I don't like the 100 because it has some flex in it that I'm not comfortable with. The Rich Solar, you just mean in general or specific to the EB70, which means the 200 watt one for both the Renogy and the Rich Solar have a higher voltage than other 200 watt panels, which makes them a good pairing because that boost in voltage contrasted to that 8 amp limit gives you a little bit more power. So you may get 160 watts on a perfect day versus 143 or 132 or something like that if your volts were lower. But I don't have any allegiance to any particular brand. I try to get them as affordable as possible. The Rich Solar, I think I got that one for like 189 at one point. It went up to 210 and I was thinking about it. And then Tennessee Frank TN, I think dot space Frank, he told me about the HQST. He emailed me about it and I bought one of those. Like, I wasn't even thinking about it. I shared it with y'all and then I bought one. It took me a while to get one. Some of y'all got y'all's before mine. But now I have 2 HQST panels and one Rich Solar, all 200-ish watts, 190 and, you know. Oh, okay. CJ says my stream quality is dropping. I'm coming through pretty pixelated. Hey man, that's tough. I don't know what to do about that. There's not much we can do in this situation. My router is right on top of me. Um, I'll do what I can. Hey, 2%, what's happening? B3 Outdoor says the oops was under $300 for a minute. You mean a while ago or recently? I was always intrigued by that oops, but not enough to buy it. And it came along at a time where I wasn't necessarily into spending that much money on a power station, so I didn't bother with it. Do you prefer Bluetti units to EcoFlow? If so, is the main reason LiPo? Well, EcoFlow has LiPo now too, and the Beastie one. I'm listen. I'm an Apple tolerator and an Android guy. So I have Apple and Android actually, just for the sake of visualization. I have both. I'm not a choose sides kind of guy. So I like EcoFlow. I like Bluetti. I think they serve different purposes. So I'm with it. I'm with it. Harvey says, "Why hide him? He's a nice guy." Yeah, nah, okay. You define nice differently than I do. Preparing for anything, is that why you didn't double the max? What you mean preparing? I have the EcoFlow River Max. I was able to get it at a little cheaper, kind of around the price point that I would want to pay for it. I wouldn't have got it in any other circumstance other than that. Yeah, it's cool to have. Keep it real, but I like the idea of the Pro. That's 700 watt hours, and I wanted to talk about that EcoFlow River Max too because it's heavy. I think it could be because of the components that they have inside. Maybe they have like that higher quality inverter. The battery itself is very like plastic, plasticky. It's like all over the place, and then the battery's inside of there. I don't think they made good use of their space. I'm no engineer though, but it's heavy. It's about as heavy as my EB70. And the thing about the EB70 is it has LiPo battery, right? Um, and a drawback to that is that LiPo is heavier because the batteries are not as dense, they say. So you need more battery to store the same amount of power as lithium ion. Lithium ions are more dense or more whatever. What's up? You need to go ask mommy, man. You need to go ask mommy. So to conclude that point, to have the EcoFlow River Max at granted 500 or so watt hours, I think it's 576 compared to my EB70 at 700 watt hours, and they're pretty much both heavy. That's weird to me. I feel like that's a fail on EcoFlow's part. Actually, in the next day or so, I'll do a short and put them on the scale so y'all can see how much they weigh. Because it's crazy. It's crazy. Michael says, I have the first AC200 and haven't really used something that big, but you never know. What do you mean? You have it and you don't use it? The oops was under 3. Okay, cool. I'm tempted to talk. Um, when you drain your devices when you first get them, do you go down to zero? Just thinking about what happened to Lead Farmer. So that's a good point. Lead Farmer had a situation where his EcoFlow River Max, he drained it down to zero, and which is not a problem at all. He drained it down to zero and it wouldn't power back on, or it wouldn't hold the charge again. Actually, his situation was really peculiar. It was charging, but the screen was blinking on and off. Blinking on and off. It wouldn't stay on. It wouldn't continue to charge. The charge wouldn't necessarily go up. There should be no problem with you draining a device down to zero because one, they have BMSs in them or battery management systems that stop them from going down to zero. That you only use about 90% of your battery to begin with. So that shouldn't be a problem. I honestly think that that's what happened with my Sateki. The 240 watt hour one, I drained it down and I couldn't get it to power back up. And I wonder if that's what happened. They said they were going to send me their address so I can send it back to them. I'm still waiting on that. But they sent me another one, and I still need to do the video of me testing that. Not testing in a way that like people who are thorough test, because I don't have the tools for that, but just kind of showing you how much it charges at. Stuff that is important to me, basically, that I would like to see. Like how fast is it charged with the AC and the USB-C, the 12 volt, the variables that you could do with that. Just like very like lifestyle based stuff versus like technical stuff. Did you test the Bouge RV power stations? No, I don't have one, but it's just an EB70 with Bouge RV's colors on it. 2% would be a good mod. I dig that. I dig that. I dig that 100%. I think 2% would be a good. I wish my phone was that big. That's actually a budget phone. I got it from Metro PCS for free for porting my number in. I keep like I use like H2O wireless. I've used Red Pocket Mobile or Red Mobile, and they're usually about like $5 to $10 cell phone plans. And I keep them around sometimes for port in deals. So if I need to port into a carrier that is not like that carrier, I can usually get like a free phone or something like that. I live a very peculiar cellular lifestyle. Yeah, I'll have to figure out some people to make my moderators. Wayne is asking, what do I think about the EcoFlow River Max Plus? Let me tell you guys about the EcoFlow River Max Plus. There was a post in one of these groups that I am a part of, but I don't frequent, where there is a white version of the EcoFlow River. And my overall impressions is like, whatever. My understanding is that it's more expensive, it has less battery, and it's white. Don't quote me on any of that, because there seems to be some disconnect between the information on the page and the information on the page. So it's weird, but there is a white EcoFlow out there in EcoFlow land. Whatever. Wendy asked about the 100-watt Harbor Freight panel. Let me table that one because I answer it a lot, but give me a second. I'll come back to that. DeMarco says, I hate how the AC200P requires more than one panel. What's the cheapest suggestion for solar power on it? What's the cheapest suggestion for the AC200P? If that's the question, the HQST panels, 100-watt panels are really cheap. I've seen them as low as $80. They even have a panel out there that's like $76 or something like that. That's the cheapest I've seen panels, around 80 bucks, which is really good because you'll probably get like 75, 70 watts, 80 watts, depending on your locale, the temperature, and your angle towards the sun. So spending $1 per watt and actually getting $1 per watt is an interesting thing. I like that because sometimes we say it's $1 per watt and that's what we typically spend, but that's on paper. So panels typically cost $100, but you still get that 80, 75, 67 watts. So if I could spend $80 and get 80 watts, that's a good time. I hope that makes sense. Ronnie asked, which 300-watt power station is the deal right now that I would suggest? It's hard to beat the Go Labs. The Go Labs is a little quirky. One of those main quirks is that when you use the USB ports, except the 60-watt dip, because there's a 60, there's a 30, and there's two regular USBs. When you use the USB ports, you have to plug in your wire into your device first, turn the device on, the R300, and then plug your wire into the device. And that's the only way it'll charge. I've seen some like differences, some variables, but for the most part, that's how it works. And they say it's by design to protect your devices. Nobody else protects your devices that way. So I don't know why they have to. But that one's hard to beat at $199. It used to be $299 with a $100 coupon. Now it's $240 with a $40 coupon. Either way, 199. I don't think you can beat that. The Energizer at $240 was a little bit compelling. I think it's the better device. It's essentially the Go Labs, pretty much. It's the same screen, the same annoying beep. I haven't figured out how to turn that beep off. The R150, the like smaller version of the Go Labs, has the ability to turn the beep off. I've been meaning to look at that device because there's some buttons you can press and see if that'll work on the Energizer, but I haven't gotten to it yet. We've been having gnats all over the place, man. It's crazy. That's why when Lead Farmer talks about bugs and stuff like that, I just be like, man, I can't grow food. One, I don't want to grow food, period. Two, I don't want to grow food inside because that stuff will drive me nuts. But, that's neither here nor there. So the EcoFlow Delta Pro, I'm a fan of that one. I think that's the most impressive device that we have out right now. And I was kind of sad that I didn't get a chance. I wasn't in the mindset to get it when it was at $2,000. The Kickstarter, I think, is over now. But even when it was $26.99 or $27.99, it was still, because they tell you the price per watt that you're paying. So it's still a good deal, but I can't get past the fact that I had the opportunity to get it for $2,000, and because I wasn't in that mindset, it wasn't on the table for me. But that's the device I would have got, and it's impressive. I mean, when you start to deal with the extra batteries and stuff like that, Bluetti kind of has them in that category because their batteries can be charged separately. They have separate outputs and all that jazz. Whereas like EcoFlow batteries are basically dummies. They have to be connected to that device to be useful. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan. I would rather have two EcoFlow Delta Pros than have an EcoFlow Delta Pro and an extra battery, which goes back to my last conversation.
Who's the Jedi? Like, how do we know on Star Wars who the Jedi is?
I wish yeah, I'm not a professional, but the Jedi. What do you mean? Yeah.
He has all the gifts or something, right?
What's the goal? What are you trying to figure out?
How to play Star Wars? They keep saying like only the Jedi has these powers, and it's like, who's Jedi?
Oh well, if it's not a character you can switch to, then you don't have it yet.
There's 3 characters.
Well, just switch to them and try.
Well, we've been doing that, but they all have different gifts.
My thing is like, if they're telling you that, then you probably don't have that character unlocked yet. So it's probably something you can't do. That's how those Lego games are made. You kind of have to progress through them and unlock the people to go back and do the stuff.
Man, we have to watch one of the Star Wars movies because we are lost.
Hey, we're not Star Wars people, or Lord of the Rings people, or what's the other, Harry Potter. We don't get into any of that. All right, I've been running my trap for a long time. Let me catch up on these comments. Hey, MJ, what's happening? Hey, Diva. What's up, Ban Everything, man? How you doing, brother? I haven't seen you around in a while. Wayne says, no, it's not more expensive. It's $520 for 720 watts. So it's cheaper. That's cool. That's what I'm saying. The post itself had some discrepancies. It used the word pro in it. It talked about 720 watts, but then further down, it talked about how it was 288 watt hours, and then you could add on to it. It's a whole weird thing. I feel like I'm a reserve my thoughts until they say something kind of a little more official than what it is right now, because right now I'm just like, EcoFlow River Plus 360 watt hour mobile power station is white. Diva be in the loop, man. She be in the loop. Yeah, 2% says you can mind me if you like. I'll learn what you like and don't like. That's kind of why I haven't put people in moderator positions, because I'm pretty even keel, and some people, they go for the, they go for the jugular. Fully charged DIY. What's going on, man? Thanks for coming around. I haven't seen you around in a while. I check your channel from time to time just to see what's going on. I hope everything's good and all that jazz. What's up, Sunday Backyard Farmer? You can buy, Ban Everything says you can buy much higher quality solar panels than Harbor Freight that costs less. That's an interesting thing. I would want to test that. The Harbor Freight panels. Maybe I want to say maybe I'll just buy one, but that SAE connector is a deal breaker for me, and I'm not taking cables off. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan of it. I don't have that particular skill set, and like I said before, if I don't know how to do it, and if I haven't researched it, it might as well be trigonometry to me, no matter how easy it is. It's like I either know how to do it or I don't know how to do it. And right now, I don't know how to do it, and I don't have the tools to do it. So there's a whole bunch of hurdles for me grabbing that device and testing it. I'm not there. But I wonder, Farmer should do a versus the Harbor Freight versus one of his Renergies, just a 1-to-1 type of thing. Rev artist, new sub. What should I get to heat my living room only? Went through Snowmageddon in Texas. Don't want that again. You shouldn't get a power station because a power station ain't gonna last you long. And then you think about the snow situation. Typically during that particular type of event, it's usually cloudy, and heat uses a lot of power. The lowest heater I've seen is 500 watts. We typically run our heaters on 750 watts, which I'm gonna kind of do some content surrounding that soon, whether it's a short or a full video. I'm not sure how I'll make that a full video. It doesn't seem all that interesting, but essentially, even if you spent $2,000 on the AC200P or the AC200 Max or whatever, those things only have 2 kilowatts of power in them. You think about 750 watts, you think about 500 watts, and the 500 watt heaters, they're literally like this big. You could probably heat like up a bathroom, maybe. You can't run it for long, and then you have to pull in that power to keep it running. And during those type of times, sun is not Habib Marwan like that. Michael says my EB150 is my workhorse in the EcoFlow River Pro, then my EcoFlow River Pro, then my AC50S because it is lightweight. But I am now carrying around the Sateki 240. I dig it. I like that Sateki. The Energizer is like my favorite go-to because it's 300 watt hours. But the Sateki is 240, so it's not like my Bowden's that's a 166. So I really don't lose that much power on grabbing the Sateki, and I do grab it often. I kind of use it to power my laptop and my cell phones and stuff like that. But the Energizer is better because it has two PD outputs. So I could throw my laptop on the 100 watt one. My laptop only uses like 30 watts. And then I could throw a phone on the 60. You know what I mean? So when you only have that one USB PD port, then you have to kind of decide. Now I'm going to charge my laptop. Then my phone's going to get probably nothing. Which I've kind of gotten into wireless charging a bit. Wireless charging is super convenient. So convenient that I went from my iPhone 7 to an iPhone 8 that I had no intentions on using with service because it's locked to Cricket. It's another phone I got for a deal. I think I got it for like $50 a couple years ago. It had no Apple account on it or anything. It was essentially like off the go, so to speak. And we used it for filming our family vlog on our family channel, which we haven't put videos up in a while. But anyway, I had that phone and that's all I used it for. It had no Apple ID on it. It had no apps on it, just the built-in stuff, which really is fine. We should all come to terms with having our phones just be kind of like phones and text messaging and weather, because who knows what this world is coming to. We should get used to that idea. You should also get used to the idea of leaving your house without your phone every now and then. But that's another thing. So I set up the iPhone 8 because it has wireless charging. Everything comes full circle. My iPhone 8 has wireless charging. I was given a LG V40 by a close family friend. That has wireless charging, and my Pixel 3 has wireless charging. If you see a trend, I don't buy recent phones because they cost too much. Hey, Tanya from Texas. What's happening? Dennis, what's happening? I just saw on Amazon a GoLabs R500 power station. Interesting. I'm going to have to email GoLab to see if they will send me one. Not like I got it like that. I was trying to get their 150, the smaller one that costs 130, because I thought it would have been a good device for a lot of people who were just getting into solar. And it's a really capable device. It has some very interesting drawbacks, though. it's not pure sine, and it only has one USB-C PD port. And what that means is, because it only has one on the GoLabs R300, which has two, but when you're charging it from solar, the larger 60-watt PD port doesn't work. So when you're charging it from solar, you can't use that 60-watt, but you can still use the 30-watt. So it's like you got something going on. Because the R150 GoLabs only has that one, I think, 60-watt port. Once you start charging it with solar, you have no USB PD charging at all. And I was like, dang, man, that kind of sucked. And then I was like, no pure sine wave, no USB-C PD. It's still better than the GoLabs for 130. But then you think about that compared to the Satechi, right? The Satechi is a very capable device. It can charge through the barrel plug and from solar and from USB-C at the same time. But the screen is whack. So it's like you trade off. You could spend like $150 on the Satechi. I've seen it as low as 125. I've seen it as high as 249. You could spend that money on that, but then you don't get any watt input, watt output, but it has a pure sine wave inverter. And then you flip over to the GoLabs R150, which is lessish power. I think it's 204, but it doesn't have the what is it missing? It has the fly screen, but not the ability to charge, like I was just saying. All right. Give me a second. Let me scroll up. What's available on HSN, Wayne? I'm not sure what I was talking about at the time. I imagine you're talking about the EcoFlow River, since they've been selling stuff on HSN and QVC lately, which is weird. Yeah, they are. My wife was 2% was talking about the gnats, and we don't have a whole lot of them, but it's a good bit of them to just annoy me. I'm from New Orleans, and there are roaches there, so I'm not a fan of bugs, any kind of bugs. But I'm glad that we don't have roaches as bad here. I've actually never seen a roach here as we do in New Orleans. They're freaking everywhere. Let's see. REV artist, I hope I answered your question about the heat. You have to figure out something different for heat. You can get a 12-volt blanket, but do your research as it relates to that, because some people say you should lay on the blanket. I would think you would want the blanket on top of you, but people have talked about how the blanket should be under you and reflect heat up, so that your cover or your blanket kind of reflects the heat back or traps the heat in. But KL talked about how she's gotten burned by being in one of them on one of them blankets. So that's a good option for warming you personally. You could look at Mr. Heater Buddy or whatever, but you got to be careful with that stuff too, because burning that indoors, it's supposed to be relatively safe as long as you have some fresh air coming in, read the instructions and all that jazz, but that's a whole nother thing. I have a couple of tents that I bought used from people, just so if stuff got real, we could create like a micro environment. I've been thinking about getting one of those 500-watt heaters, but I'm kind of afraid to, and I need to test and see what kind of draw, like how long my power stations can run or if they can run I have a Vornado heater. I have two of them actually. And I usually use them on the 750-watt setting. Okay. I'm gonna see what the comments are saying. Then I'll get into that. Joe Try says my Watt No Fun has good features on paper, but I think the electronics are toast. What's on the front panel doesn't seem related to what's in the battery. Yeah, I see that. I bought a GoLabs as a backup for my EcoFlow River Max and love it so far. S. Brubaker, that's kind of how my logic works. Getting a cheaper instead of buying a battery for $250 or $199, I much rather just have a Go Labs, and that's kind of why I bought my Go Labs in some way, because then that power can be piped into my EcoFlow, because the EcoFlow has the better inverter system in it. Ben, everything is saying you can easily cook with a smaller solar power solar power stations with a 12-volt 100-watt rice cooker, and you can use an immersion water heater for tea. Those immersion water heaters are interesting because I don't trust the quality of them. I haven't been able to find one that was like mid-range. It's either they're really cheap, which is scary, or they're very expensive and use a lot of power. Excuse me. Latin Van Life says, ask the Dark Force as it relates to my wife asking about Star Wars. YouTube now deletes all my prepping comments about solar, so I can't leave comments. That's weird, man. Oh, Diva is saying she got it off of HSN. The price is $299 right now. That's interesting. Let me look at that. HSN EcoFlow. Let's see what it's hitting for. Yeah, there it is. $219 for the battery, 360 watt hours of extra. Compare that to around the same price for the battery of the EcoFlow River Max, and it has 288 watt hours. And then the EcoFlow River Plus is 360 watt hours for $299. That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that white. The white is cool looking, but I don't know how I feel about it. I have to kind of sit and marinate with it. But you get 360, so it's more capacity for about the same price. That's compelling. That's quite compelling. Hey, that's what's up. I'll drop this link into the chat. I want to go check it out. Thanks, 2%. I appreciate that. I'm riding right now, but I didn't want to miss this brother. I appreciate you, Solar Family Travels. I blew my sockets out in my kitchen. Guess why I'm not going to feel pressured to get it done. My Delta Mini got me covered. That's what's up, man. CJ says now is the time to stock up on a Mr. Buddy heater before winter gets here. That's fun. Meteorologists are claiming that the coming winter may be a harder winter than last year, which ultimately is fine because last year's winter wasn't crazy in my city, at least. We haven't had a crazy winter in a while. And even when we had that crazy winter, it was okay. We'll see. We'll see. I want to get into propane, and I want to find a heater that I talked about this before that can just hook up to it. Some people have shared how the Mr. Buddy heater, you don't need an adapter and all that jazz. I have to research it again. But there was some on the marketplace that I was compelled by, but I wasn't ready to go down the hole of propane. And then I'm not going to buy those little Coleman propane dips from Walmart. I'm not a fan of that, so I won't do it. So I just kind of like let them go. Those people probably still have them. I have to search. Happy Life. That's a good tip. I use Roche Motels for gnats. I have to let the missus know. We've been using some form of vinegar. I forget what it's called. Apple cider vinegar, I believe, and like dish detergent. And it catches a couple, but it's not working super effectively. And then I feel like it attracts them, so they're coming in for that scent. So we got to figure something out. Then it says the Go Labs R300 is a quirky baby workhorse. Yeah. That thing, my Go Labs got drenched in a sure enough storm. And I put it down in my basement where my dehumidifier is, and I let that dehumidifier deal with it for a couple of days, thanks to Bean Energy. I mean, I thought of the dehumidifier, but he was saying because it was just rainwater, there was no minerals in it, so it wouldn't damage the device. That water probably didn't damage the device. I dried it out, and it works. Works just fine. MJ says I'm with you on not wanting to miss. I appreciate that. Solar Family Travel. Okay, my EB120. Solar Family Travel says I could not spend 2 stacks on a power generator and then pay for panels. Yeah, I dig it. I dig that 100%. My EB120, I reached out to the Blue Eddy contact in the group and I shared my video with them and I told them about the little shake and move. And they sent me out one. They said they would send me out one to replace it. They said that they loved the video, which was cool. But I'm supposed to have another one coming. I don't know when it's going to get here because the EB120 took a while to get here, I believe. I think I ordered that thing on the 9th of September and it didn't come until like the 21st. So it took a good bit. It wasn't no prime shipping on that dip. And then something that is, thank you, something that is peculiar about it. If anybody has an EB150 or EB240, can you let me know if this happens? When my battery is off, not even dead, but it did happen when it was dead, and I had solar panels hooked into it, my screen kept flashing as if it was like, yeah, we're not getting enough power here, fam. And that's annoying. I don't know why it does that. Does that happen to anybody else? I'm gonna have to scroll down to look at the comments live. Two percent said my son comes in here and says, if anything happens, do we have a radio? I'm like, which way you leaning? Is that reasonable or ridiculous? Because I want to get one of those weather radios. Van Everything is like really into weather radios and like the quality of them. And he has a very high standard, but he's also like far away from certain areas and he wants to be able to catch those signals. And I was thinking about it, like me being in a metropolitan city, I don't know if I necessarily need to be able to hear the next city over. So one of those little midland or whatever may be fine for me versus needing something that's really robust and capable. Wayne says his EB240 does not do that. But do you have solar plugged into it, Wayne, or do you charge your stuff from the wall? Charging a power station in those temperatures will be tough. That's a good point, CJ. The polar vortex hit us here in Chicago hard, negative 28 degrees Fahrenheit during the daytime for 2 days before temperatures went back up to something more tolerable. Interesting. The rigid panels I brought on Amazon are no longer available. Which ones? MJ says she wants a license for a ham radio. I dig that. I don't want a license. Wait, ham? You need a license for ham. But doesn't ham require a test and all that jazz? And then there's like one that needs a license too. Somebody cleared it up for me last time, but I didn't retain the information because I'm not ready for that. I just want a proper set of walkie-talkies. And it seems like walkie-talkies are really unimpressive these days. So okay. Oh man, that's not even signed in. Son of a I say son of a Trump, which is really disrespectful. I don't mean his name to be interchanged with what that word is, but it has a good ring to it. So that's what I go with. I just thought say son of a Biden. I'm an equal opportunity offender. Okay, so my EB70, I want to give an update on that. My EB70 is now on the main floor along with my EcoFlow River Max. My EB70's fan is it's not loud, but it's noticeable, which is no big deal, but I notice it. So having it in the basement, I didn't notice it as much because it was in my basement. Actually, on the EB120, I haven't really been using it a whole lot because I guess it's because it's not mine. And it's not necessarily up to the standard that it should be. I find myself just kind of slow walking it. Like, yeah, it's down there, it's plugged in. Also because I don't have my other HQST 190 watt panel, which I may not ever get because they may not come back in stock. Man, this hour went fast. Jeez, and we're losing sunlight, so it's a good time. So I haven't really been using the 120 that much. I charge it because I ain't missing out on no sun. but the sun is also shifting. So it's kind of like I'm in limbo. I don't have my other panel. And even if I had my other panel, putting them in series would be a bit of a pain because the sun is shifting. So I need to kind of wait until the sun completely shifts to find a permanent home for them. I'm just kind of really, I'm in a state of limbo as it relates to power stations. I have a power station R2 that's being sent to me, probably just one. Actually, no. I should have two coming at some point. The replacement for the 120 is coming at some point. So I'm just kind of like floating by. I get power through my EB70. I get power through my EcoFlow River Max. It's getting colder, so the panel that's up on my balcony is not going to be as useful. So it's probably going to be stored away for the winter months because I'm just using that to take advantage of the fact that I have a 50-watt panel. My 100-watt Renogy is still hooked into my Rock Pals, which I am thinking about giving away along with my Bowdens, but I'm kind of waiting until some other things settle before I do that. Um, so things are just in a state of whatever. Art DeGraff, were you the person that is looking for some solar panel that is backpack friendly? Um, I think you were, but let me know. But you asked, what panels do you use to charge the EB70? The EB70 has a HQST 100-watt panel. I'm looking right at it. That's what's charging the 170 because it has the higher voltage. It has a higher voltage, so the amps are a little bit lower, so I'm not missing out on as much amps. The voltage starts out at like 24 or something like that, and the amps is like 9. Whereas like the new power, the voltage is like 17 and the amps are like 12. So with that 8 amp limit, if I got the new power, then I would be throwing away 4 amps. I've talked about this before, but why not reiterate it for anybody that's new? So I went with the Rich Solar and the HUST because they have the higher voltage and lower amperage, which means I'm not losing out on power going into that EB70. But to answer the question, I have a HQST 190 watt panel on the EB70. I also have an HQST 190 watt panel on the EB120. My Rich Solar is out in the front of the house, hooked up to my EcoFlow River Max. Martian says walkie-talkies legally can't work because of restrictions, handwork. Yeah, but I don't, I don't have like a whole bunch of family here. I'm not necessarily like a ham radio wouldn't do me any good either. It's just me and my wife and maybe her mom or something like that. So it's just, I just need to be able to communicate with my immediate in the house family. So if, we had to, with good money. Oh, Jason Noy. Oh, he retracted his message. I was about to say, man, your message got deleted. Jackery is high quality, but only 500 cycles. I refuse to buy a power station with lithium ion batteries. I respect that. I respect that. If someone's swinging on a swing set in the background, I hear something each. I swear I hear something each live stream. We got some crickets going on. No swing sets around here, though. We don't have a whole lot of young kids nearby. I mean, they're around, but not swing. We don't live in a swing set neighborhood, which is weird, but it is what it is. There are some crickets though. Okay, the GMRS radio license is $70, no test for 10 years. FCC said the license will cost $35. Yes, that's what I'm interested in. But I'm interested in walkie-talkies first and foremost. You mess with that does not surprise me, MJ. MJ says she she messed with swing sets. Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with getting on a swing. Swinging is good for your adult. It just relaxes you a little bit. Oh, Tanya says she uses baby monitors. We have those, but I don't know if we would use them. But we have them. So push came to shove, I would certainly pull them dips out. I haven't been charging them lately, which is like lithium ion number one. You got to keep those things charged. So the batteries may be useless. But because I have power stations, I mean, if stuff like really got real, I would just plug it up to a power station or maybe figure out a power bank if the voltage is right, because I don't think they use a whole lot of voltage. They may be 12-volt devices instead of 5-volt devices, but I have to look into that. That's a good thought for myself, because I could use a 5521 male to male and then adapt the 5521 to a smaller plug that hopefully will fit into the baby monitor. All right. If I missed any questions or comments that are like really relevant, let me know, because I'm gonna be dipping soon. Wayne asked, "What is the next portable power station?" That's what PPS stands for me. That you are planning on getting, and why? I don't have any portable power stations in my crosshairs. What was I intrigued by? I'm intrigued by the EB55, but I don't like that price. I don't even like it for 349. Sometimes they do deals for 349, and it's just like, I don't need it. And at a point, I have to kind of weigh whether or not I will buy portable power stations, or just kind of like, because I'm not super interested in something, wait until companies send them to me. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I like that EB55 enough to kind of, if somebody sent me one, I would love it. I would love it, absolutely. It has its drawbacks. I don't like that port has a 25 to 28 volt range on the 8mm port. That boggles my mind. It would be a great device if that had a normal range of voltage input, because then that means I could charge that dip from XT60, or I could charge it from 8mm. That's super important to me because I have 8mm and XT60 devices already. So let's say my EcoFlow River Max is full because it's been banging on the sun all day. I could put that last little bit of power in the EB55. And I could still do that because they both use XT60. But let's say my EB70 is full, which does happen because I don't work in my little workspace as much anymore because I got a decent laptop with some battery. I can't plug that dip into the solar panel, the HUST 190 that is 8mm for the EB70, because the EB55 doesn't take that voltage range. It's limited to 25 to 28. And that just like, I'm also really starting to love the power stations that have USB-C charging input. I just realized that the Agwe has it. I had that device all that time, and I didn't know that it had USB-C input charging. That like makes it such a more pleasurable device to use now. Okay, R DeGraff, go to Life Harvest Solar, or find them via DuckDuckGo or whatever your favorite search engine is. They had, I believe it's Life Harvest Solar. Shoot, email me. But I think they had a folding panel. No, who was it? Dang it, I can't remember. Please email me or message me somewhere, because I think about you sometimes when I see these little folding panels that it was actually a decent folding panel. I think it was like 100 watts, but it folded up into this kind of size. Somebody offered me one of their panels. It was Big Blue. Check out Big Blue. I reached out to them about their power station, and they offered me something different, I believe. Don't get me to making up stuff. This is ridiculous. I deal with so much stuff. What's up, Kevin, man? Don't forget to get that tax credit on the solar equipment. Yeah, I guess I have to look into that. I don't think I qualify, but we'll see. Have you seen the EcoFlow smart gas generator? I have. I'm not into gas those, but you know, it's cool. Has some nice features if you're into gas generators. The price wasn't absurd during the Kickstarter or whatever it was, so that was okay. Let me scroll through here. Yeah, I don't think I have. What's up, James? Thanks for coming through. Appreciate it. I don't think I have a power station. I was interested in the Big Blue power station, but it doesn't have pass-through charging. Um, there's not one I'm interested in right now. I'm pretty set. It's winter's gonna be interesting, but we'll see. But I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. The EB120. I'm glad it cost me as little as it did eventually. I'm glad to have that 1,000 watts, but it 1,000 watts is too limiting, man. You need 2,000 or 1,500 or something like that. Like it won't run my dehumidifier. It probably will run my deep freezer. I'm still gonna do that video. My wife cleaned up the basement really good, so now I'm not ashamed to record videos down there with the deep freezer. Oh, R DeGraff, my email is solarquestions@askive.com. Please reach out to me because I have to figure out what company that is and I want to send it to you. Latin Van Life says a solar blanket. Yeah, it is. I guess it is a blanket. All right, let's recap. The EB120, the something in there moves around, and they're sending me another one. The AC300, I'm not impressed at the dollar per watt cost. I've never really been into that. The AC200 Max is still kind of, I'm seeing ads for it around $16.99 or something like that, which is interesting. I don't know if that's real or if it's just Facebook is still running those ads. The Sateki, I got a replacement for that. I still need to do the video on it. One of them died on me. They're supposed to be sending me their bigger one. It's like 300 some odd watt hours. I'm excited for that because I'm going to use that to run my internet upstairs. 300 watt hours against 10 watts of power for my router. I'm excited about that. The EcoFlow River Max is heavy. It's almost as heavy as the EB70. I'm going to do a short about that soon in the next day or so. And I have no power station that I'm really eyeing right now. Just nothing really piques my interest. I still want something that uses that can pull in 100 watts of solar for a relatively affordable price. That AC30 is always kind of tugging at me, but that device is just super limited that I can't bring myself to buy another one. I try every now and then to revisit it because it would be a perfect pass-through device, but I can't do it. I can't do it. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Yeah, I'll still be in the chat for a little bit.